thief. I was still a thief when I met Arun. And though I was only 15, I was an experienced and fairly successful hand. Arun was watching the wrestlers when I approached him. He was about 20, a tall, lean fellow, and he looked kind and simple enough for my purpose. I hadn't had much luck of late, and I thought I might be able to get into this young person's confidence. He seemed quite fascinated by the wrestling. Two well oiled men slid about in the soft mud, grunting and slapping their thighs. When I got Arun into conversation, he didn't seem to realize that I was a stranger. You look like a wrestler yourself, I said. So do you, he replied, which put me out of my stride for a moment because at that time I was rather thin and bony and not very impressive physically. Yes, I wrestle sometimes. What's your name? Deepak, I lied. Deepak was about my fifth name. I had earlier called myself Ranbir, Sudhir, Trilok, and Surinder. After this preliminary exchange, Arun confined himself to comments on the match, and I didn't have much to say. After a while, he walked away from the crowd of spectators. I followed him. Hello, he said, enjoying yourself? I gave him my most appealing smile. I want to work for you, I said. He didn't stop walking. And what makes you think I want someone to work for me? Well, I've been wandering about all day, looking for the best person to work for. When I saw you, I knew no one else had a chance. You flatter me, he said. That's all right. But you can't work for me. Why not? Because I can't pay you. I thought over that for a minute. Perhaps I had misjudged my man. Can you feed me? I asked. Can you cook? He countered. I can cook, I lied. If you can cook, I'll feed you. He took me to his room and told me I could sleep in the veranda. But I was nearly back on the street that night. The meal I cooked must have been pretty awful, because Arun gave it to the neighbor's cat and told me to be off. But I just hung around, smiling in my most appealing way, and then he couldn't help laughing. He sat down on the bed and laughed for full 5 minutes, and later patted me on the head and said, never mind, he'd teach me to cook in the morning. Not only did he teach me to cook, but he taught me to write my name and his, and said he would soon teach me to write whole sentences, and add money on paper when you didn't have any in your pocket. It was quite pleasant working for Arun. I made tea in the morning and later went out shopping. I would take my time buying the day's supplies and made a profit of about 25 paise a day. I would tell Arun that rice was 56 paise a pound, it generally was, but I would get it at 50 paise a pound. I think he knew I made a little this way, but he didn't mind. He wasn't giving me a regular wage. I was really grateful to Arun for teaching me to write. I knew that once I could write like an educated man, there would be no limit to what I could achieve. It might even be an incentive to be honest. Arun made his money by fits and starts. He would be borrowing 1 week, lending the next. He would keep worrying about his next check, but as soon as it arrived, he would go out and celebrate lavishly. One evening, he came home with a wad of notes, and at night I saw him tuck the bundle under his mattress at the head of the bed. I had been working for Arun for nearly a fortnight, and apart from the shopping, hadn't done much to exploit him. I had every opportunity for doing so. I had the key to the front door, which meant I had the access to the room whenever Arun was out. He was the most trusting person I had ever met, and that is why I couldn't make up my mind to rob him. It is easy to rob a greedy man because he deserves to be robbed. It is easy to rob a rich man because he can afford to be robbed. But it is difficult to rob a poor man, even one who doesn't care when he is robbed. A rich or a greedy man or a careful man wouldn't keep his money under a pillow or mattress. He'd lock it up in a safe place. Arun put his money where it would be child's play for me to remove it without his knowledge. It's time I did some real work, I told myself. I'm getting out of practice. If I don't take the money, he'll only waste it on his friends. He doesn't even pay me. Arun was asleep. Moonlight came in the veranda and fell across the bed. I sat up on the floor, my blanket wrapped around me, considering the situation. There was quite a lot of money in that wad, and if I took it, I would have to leave town. I might make it to the 10:30 express to Amritsar. Slipping out of the blanket, I crept on all fours through the door and up to the bed and peeped at Arun. He was sleeping peacefully, with a soft and easy breathing. His face was clear and unlined. Even I had more markings on my face, though mine were mostly scars. My hand took on an identity of its own as it slid under the mattress, fingers searching for the notes. They found them, and I drew them out without a crackle. Arun sighed in his sleep and turned on his side towards me. My free hand was resting on the bed, and his hair touched my fingers. I was frightened when the hair touched my fingers and crawled quickly and quietly out of the room. When I was in the street, I began to run. I ran down the bazaar road to the station. The shops were all closed, but a few lights came from the upper windows. I had the notes at my waist, held there by the string of my pyjamas. I felt I had to stop and count the notes, though I knew it might make me late for the train. It was already 10:20 by the clock tower. I slowed down to a walk, and my fingers flicked through the notes. There were about 100 rupees in fives, a good haul. I could live like a prince for a month or two. When I reached the station, I did not stop at the ticket office. I've never bought a ticket in my life, but dashed straight on to the platform. The Amritsar Express was just moving out. It was moving slowly enough for me to jump on the footboard on one of the carriages, but I hesitated for some urgent, unexplainable reason. I hesitated long enough for the train to leave without me. When it had gone, and the noise and the busy confusion of the platform had subsided, I found myself standing alone on the deserted platform. The knowledge that I had 100 stolen rupees in my pyjamas only increased my feeling of isolation and loneliness. I had no idea where to spend the night. I had never kept any friends, because sometimes friends can be one's undoing. I did not want to make myself conspicuous by staying at a hotel, and the only person I knew really well in town was the person I had robbed. Leaving the station, I walked slowly through the bazaar, keeping to the dark, deserted alleys. I kept thinking of Arun. He would still be asleep, blissfully unaware of his loss. I have made a study of men's faces when they have lost something of material value. The greedy man shows panic, the rich man shows panic, anger, the poor man shows fear, but I knew neither panic nor anger nor fear would show on Arun's face when he discovered the theft. Only a terrible sadness, not for the loss of money, but for my having betrayed his trust. I found myself on the Maidan and sat down on the bench with my feet tucked up under my haunches. The night was a little cold, and I regretted not having brought Arun's blanket along. A light drizzle added to my discomfort. Soon it was raining heavily. My shirt and pyjamas stuck to my skin, and a cold wind brought the rain whispering across my face. I told myself that sleeping on the bench was something I should have been used to by now, but the veranda had softened me. I walked to the bazaar and sat down on the step of a closed shop. A few vagrants lay beside me, rolled up tight in their thin blankets. The clock showed midnight. I felt for the notes. They were still there with me, but they had lost their crispness and were damp with rainwater. Arun's money. In the morning, he would have probably given me a rupee to go to the pictures, but now I had it all. No more cooking his meals, running to the bazaar, or learning to write whole sentences. Whole sentences! That was something I had forgotten in the excitement of 100 rupees. Whole sentences, I knew, one day could bring me more than 100 rupees. It was a simple matter to steal, and just as simple to be caught, but to be a really big man, a wise and successful man, that was something. I should go back to Arun, I told myself, if only to learn how to write. Perhaps it was my concern for Arun that drew me back. A sense of sympathy is one of my weaknesses, and though hesitation over a theft, I had often been caught. A successful thief must be pitiless. I was fond of Arun. My affection for him, my sense of sympathy, and most of all, my desire to write whole sentences drew me back to that room. I hurried to the room, extremely nervous, for it is easier to steal something than to return it undetected. If I was caught beside the bed now, with the money in my hand, or with my hand under the mattress, there could be only one explanation: that I was actually stealing. If Arun woke up, I would be lost. I opened the door clumsily, then stood in the doorway in the clouded moonlight. Gradually, my eyes became accustomed to the darkness of the room. Arun was still fast asleep. I went on all fours again and crept noiselessly to the head of the bed. My hand came up with the notes. I felt his breath on my fingers. I was fascinated by his tranquil features and easy breathing and remained motionless for a minute. Then my hand explored the mattress, found the edge, and slipped it under with the notes. I awoke late next morning to find that Arun had already made tea. I found it difficult to face him in the harsh light of the day. His hand was stretched out towards me. There was a 5 rupee note between his fingers. My heart sank. "I made some money yesterday," he said. "Now you'll get paid regularly." My spirits rose as rapidly as they had fallen. I congratulated myself on having returned the money. But when I took the note, I realized he knew everything. The note was still wet from last night's rain. "Today I'll teach you to write a little more than your name," he said. He knew, but neither his lips nor his eyes said anything about their knowing. I smiled at Arun in my most appealing way, and the smile came by itself without my knowing it. Thank you. I would like to thank you. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, share it with your friends and please give me a thumbs up. For more cool and awesome content, please subscribe my channel. Thank you.